Hello, good evening, welcome to Stanley Parable, a game that I have played and enjoyed a lot. So I am going to be streaming it this evening. I'm probably not going to stream it for that long, but we'll definitely jump into it. It's a beautiful game. It's an indie game, and I just wanted to do it because I got it for my birthday last year and I've been wanting to play it. I sat and played it for an afternoon with my son, but I've not played it since. We'll, it's it's hard to explain. Probably best if we just jump into it and then we go from there. But I forgot that the game starts from the moment you load it up, pretty much. From the moment you start, before you've even got into the game starts messing with you. And so we'll just jump in. I'm going to try and make it brighter so you guys can see better on YouTube. Tell the dog and cat are friends. There we go. Hello, Hash. Please just slide as the number 5 becomes the number 9. Oh, that's 9 there. That's it. That is number 9. Although, I don't know whether it'll... Yeah, there is actually a number 9. Right, okay, confirm. Please adjust the slide until you stop adjusting the slide. Alright, let's... Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Red Dead, and I will be doing Red Dead at some point. Evening, Ash. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to get into it. Which of the two made-up words below is... Well, it must have been scrumptious. Occuboincle. I think we'll go towards this one. Please don't adjust the slider. Okay. Do you know what time it is right now? Yeah, I do actually. Yes. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Yes. What time is it anyway? What is time anyway? Yes. Let's just agree. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Yes. Help. Yes. Will you come back to visit me? Yes. Told you this game straight away. So I'm wondering if we can go into the settings and start, like, reset everything. Reset settings. Yeah. It's all settings. This default values. It's also, yeah. This would need your game progress revert into a fresh install. Yes, that's what we want to do because we want to go back to the original game. But yeah. Now it will probably ask me what the time is. Please choose a screen subtitle language. Oh yeah, English. We'll have subtitles on because it will help on YouTube. Have you played the Stanley Parable before? Yes. But you guys have not seen it. I know nothing about this game. Looks intriguing. Oh, it's really good. You're in for a treat then. I'll play it for a little while tonight. It was barely visible. We just did this, but we'll go with that so you guys can see it. Please input the correct time. It's 10:41. I'm guessing it's 20. Oh no, it's not 24 o'clock. But yeah. There we go. 10:41. Evening, Georgie. No, accessibility settings can be accessed from the main menu. Okay. Let's go. Stanley Parable. Right, I will shut up because there's a hell of a lot of narration in this. So we'll just start. But yeah, that's a computer within a computer within a computer within a computer. Yeah, one of those. So let's begin.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
And so we will follow the narration and do exactly as the story wants to do for our first playthrough. But as it said in the loaded screen, the end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. It's so true. This is one of the few games where you can get to a point where you won't be able to progress it anymore. But you may have unlocked something, so you'll have to restart it. Yeah, it's incredibly well written, but we'll crack on with it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I like all the artwork as well on the desk, on the walls. But yeah. Like I say, we'll mess with it a bit more after we've done it. I hate Mondays. Yeah, I know that feeling.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Just so you know, the doors are closing behind us. I don't know whether you can hear it or not, but yeah, they're closing behind us. Nice picture there.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
What do people want? Things, money, more money, things, but with money to buy more things. Graphs about things, money. We have our new product. Violet James, you are fired. The stock market is somewhere here. Coloured in segments, stripes, requirements. Number of slides on this slide. Slides, charts and slides. What is hot? Profits, 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 profits. Profits spelt as in prophetic people. Very good. Rate of increase in graphs per slide. So yeah, you probably get the idea of what this game. Please no more, I'm begging you. The Boss Appreciation Minute. Boss Appreciation Minute worksheet. Yeah, you're probably beginning to get a feel for what this game is like. But we'll solve an interpersonal conflict. You ever find yourself in a conflict with another energy employee like yourself? Yeah, it does flash up there really quickly. What are your dreams for the future? Nature, success, transcend, talk, radio. Mitosis, a boat, pollution, less air, spring break, hope, clear skin. What? Tips for not getting fired. Yeah, that's where we started. To do synergize core value expenditures, shift global market parade, monetize free to play.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
But now Stanley, i.e. us, does know this.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Yeah, that's making me laugh. Not that he just told us 5 minutes ago, but yeah. Or a couple of minutes ago. And now it's getting a bit sinister. This is a very old game, and I saw Markiplier playing the original years ago, and I just found it.
Descending
like,
deeper into the building,
when I saw it was on.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Yeah, so when I discovered it was on PlayStation, I was like, I've so got to get hold of it and share it with people, because I know, given the humour.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Yeah, so I thought I'd share it with like-minded individuals and see if other people enjoy it as much as I did when I first watched it.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Right in centre of the screen is Stanley, 427, and yeah, it's quite dark, but it is actually his desk, in darkness. So yeah, they're monitoring everyone. A dystopian nightmare, really.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
But evening, Lodge. But we can do other things.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Right. We're messing with all the buttons. Oh, no. I'm just pressing buttons for the heck of it. Where is it? Where is it? I'm now looking for something. Is it the first room? I think it's the first room. Yep, here. There we go. You may have noticed something. We are where we... I can't remember what... There isn't a jump. Yep, we're
At
out.
first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Yes or no?
Then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
That is brilliant. So we are now stuck. The only option is begin the game again. This is not a conventional game, by the way. You may be beginning to notice.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Perhaps Stanley doesn't want to go to the
No matter how hard
meeting
Stanley
room.
looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I'm not going back out there. Or do you want me to go back out there and do the other option? That's the question. Do you want me to go back out there and select the other option? Because we selected, are you sick of this gag? No. But what if we select the yes? What will happen?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
So you guys, input received. Yeah, doing that you get different. You get other endings and things. I'm touching everything in the office because I want to. I can't reach that keyboard. I'm frustrated. Hang on. Should we go and try the other option? I mean, you guys have got as much control over what I do. You can look things up on the internet as well, like if you want to look up other endings, but I suppose if you haven't played it and you're going to play it, then you'll, yeah. Let's not
When
go
Stanley
to the
came to
boardroom.
a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, we want to do what we want to do. Yeah, go and try the other option. I will go and try it in a bit then. I'll go back because we're locked out there now.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
I hadn't heard that narration before. That's brilliant. I wonder what happens if we spend a bit longer in here.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left. But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
So do we take the door on the left? You see, there is another way there, but we'll save that. We'll go through the door on the left.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
We can't go back. I just wondered if we could backtrack there. But we can't.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
We are not going to the boss's office.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
I don't want to leave the broom closet.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
That looks like a nuclear symbol there. I've always thought that.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
I was touching everything, okay? I am. Look.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Yeah, I'm not leaving.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Oh, that's brilliant. I am laughing.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Okay. He's insulting me now. Brilliant.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed in front of your screen. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
That's brilliant. Oh, that made me laugh so much. Oh, evening, Becky. Yeah, it's going very well. Lots of people.
Second player, it's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, You can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
I'm too stupid to crash into a tree. Yeah, I think we've exhausted the narrative in there, but yeah, brilliant going back in there.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
We could, or we could go downstairs, not to his boss's office, because I will go up to the boss's office, but we could just do something else. Because he's called us stupid, he's insulted me, so at this point.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
You're right, Stanley couldn't have possibly known this. I'm doing good, yeah.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
You couldn't possibly know, but we're going to press 888.
8.
There we go. That's it.
2845.
8 is actually something from the demo, so which we played prior to getting this. But we're going to press 8 again.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ah, it's just so funny. Well, whoop-de-doo. Is there anything in this corner? Nope, nothing. Right, you may have noticed on our first way through that I'm glad everyone's well. I did ask earlier on, but yeah, not everyone was here when I started how everyone was doing, but glad we're all catching up. Yeah, you may have noticed that there's a word that said escape. So
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Yeah, but we're not going to. I don't want to.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Hang on. Yeah, Becky, don't apologise. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it's fine. This game is an indie game that I saw another big YouTuber play years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And when I discovered it was on PlayStation, I was like, I've got to get that. So I got it for my birthday last year, and yeah, I'm just sharing it with like-minded, intelligent people that probably like commentary on game design and narration in games and things.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Nature paintings. Yeah, this is all the assets in Stanley's computer. It's all the assets from in the game. Office layout, like a little 3D model. Corridor. The pacing of this open section was important to get right. This corridor has been removed and altered to make sure the player reaches the two doors in a good time. And this is the two doors. The two doors. The very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Can I get on there and press the keyboard? No. The office. It's all bits. Button sounds. Yeah, simple things. That had solitaire on. That's brilliant. Employee database. 2013 team. So yeah, it was built in. Yeah, original game came out about 10 years ago now. So right, which way do we go? Right or left, people? I'll just browse these credits while you make a decision. We need the music like from Tony Hart, really, don't we? Playing. Let's look at the gallery this week, children. You've sent in some incredible work. So left or right? Left. We've had a decision from Hash, and everyone's silent. So I guess you're all in your silence is agreement. That's the kind of maintenance room. Yeah, we went through the maintenance room, so that's not a complete photocopier. Quick, can I sit on it and photocopy? No. There's the staff room. I don't know the money. How? What? That money one. Is that a new ending? What's this? Narrator emails. Greetings. I like the standing pound as much as I like seeing a humorously small badger in swim trunks. Indeed, I like to keep this proposal as top secret and delete if you are not interested and get back to me if you are interested. Transfer 24 million pounds. Dead strong band. How do you type with boxing gloves on? Ben. What? There's loads of silly things. What else is on here? The lounge. An early version of the lounge. Ah, right. That was an early version of it. The cargo lift. We haven't seen the cargo lift yet, but we will get there. The apartment timer. In the previous version, the choice leading to the apartment engine. The timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different engine. Ah, but we have not. So this is telling you a lot of things, all secrets and stuff in the game. So we don't want to go too. We don't want to go too far into it because it might ruin stuff for us. The game is now paused. Begin the game. Resume the game. Return to the menu. Escape menu. For a long time we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realised this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. Yeah, I can imagine. Game designers and everyone involved. That's the mind control facility, isn't it? Control room, yeah. What the? Hang on. What is this? Countdown death. One of the deaths from the version of the countdown ending. Ah, yeah, we haven't seen that yet. Freedom ending. Well, that's what we've got. Freedom ending. Right.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Okay, that was a bit dark. Does that mean I've got to select? No, I don't have to select. Begin again. And we're back. Right, now we're going to jump
All of
out.
his co-workers were gone.
And
what could
go
it
in.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No,
No matter how hard Stanley looked,
He's going to
he
select
couldn't
the other
find
option.
a trace of his co-workers.
Yep, okay, I got on there, but now I can't get back on there. No.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
No, we know that, but we're just trying to... There we go.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Encore. I want more. That's brilliant. We want a follow-up. But no, I think we're just going to have the music constantly playing until we restart the game. So, let's restart, shall we? Because I'm not going to listen to that music, but yeah. It is 20 past 11. Is it 20 past 11? Yes, it's 20 past 11. He has been
all of his co-workers were gone.
For 2
what could it
hours.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
nearly
simply
2.5
missed a memo.
hours since he got to work before he decided to go and have a look. Are there any buttons for us to... Oh yeah, there's more for us to turn off. I did like finding solitaire, which was a comment on office workers in that period. In the period when this game's set, anyway.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I'm looking for the one that says more inputs. So there is a broom cupboard. There's a room that if you press the door so many times, it talks to you about a secret ending, and it is also, obviously, as you've probably come to expect, quite good. New content. Now that's for the deluxe version. We won't go down there yet. We're going to go right again.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
like the employee
just
lounge.
to admire it.
It's lovely. It's my favourite room.
Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, he didn't. He took the door on his right.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. It will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1,000. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, $5,000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone. As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Oh, that was brilliant. I love that video. That was fantastic. I hadn't seen that before. Or not recently, anyway. Oh, okay.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Caution, do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Brilliant. That took 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. Interesting.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Now, because we've come back through, entering the door on the left, would it have different consequences? That's what I'm kind of wondering. Or do we go back through the one on the right and really see? But another part of me wants to go through the one on the right. But we could do that whole bit to get to that bit where we come back to here. Although we'd have to sit through the choices video again. Although I've got no qualms with doing that whatsoever. Um, uh, 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 I don't know. Proper story, rebellious. Proper story, rebellious. Proper story on left, rebellious on right. I can't decide. Proper story. We'll do proper story and then see if we can just like. But if it does continue in the same vein and we think we're going down the same path that it originally goes down, then I'll just choose the different thing on the mind control machine at the end.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
I can't get in the broom closet, which is...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
It is all directed towards that. If you look, the stairs don't even go down there, which normally they would. Okay, this is different.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Do I have to say Night Shark 115 or not?
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
So, Night Shark 115. I wonder if it...
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you?
I said
Please
it.
speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I did enter the door on the left. Let's keep going left. Because it is different now. Like, that office was different, and saying Night Shark 115 didn't work anyway.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When
Let's go
Stanley
right.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No, I'm not entering the door on the left. Seeing as you just kicked me
No!
out.
Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
It's all messed up. Brilliant.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to. I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Additional art assets that said Valve. Yeah, that's... And now we're back again. I want to take a quick break after that ending, because that was like an official ending. But we'll go to the right and we'll answer the phone perhaps this time, rather than me. I just wondered if you could unplug the phone. I didn't mean to take us down a rabbit hole, but you can see how things can quickly spiral out of control in this game, and it is thoroughly enjoyable. And I'm hoping you're laughing as much as I am, because although I'm muted, I am cackling away, and I'm probably going to get told off by everyone else in the house because it's nearly midnight. But I don't care because I'm enjoying myself. So I'll be back in about 5 minutes for more Stanley Parable. And I'm back to continue with more Stanley Parable, and we'll continue down the right path. We've heard
All
this.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm just looking for the one that says input, more input. Because if we get all of them, you get another ending as well. It's not there though.
No matter how hard Stanley
So
looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Locked us out of that, or whether we've got to do it some other place. New content. I'm not going to the new content yet.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
It's brilliant.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
You can also jump off the lift, as it suggests with the...
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Yeah.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
I wonder what happens if we just don't pick up the phone. Great call with the indie games. I'd love to see more. Yeah, I've got What Remains of Edith Finch, and I've got a few others, so I may do them once in a while to break them up, break up the Red Dead streams as well. Can we answer the phone then?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Please press right to tell your kids a story. It said to spend time with the boys and everything else. Evening, Barbarian King.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Push up to tell your wife you love her, even though she's not real, because he's just told us that.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Press down to be at work in the morning. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it, because otherwise we're just going to be stuck here. There is nothing we can do. Except push buttons.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Press up to question nothing.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
That's the dark humour. But yeah, the end is never the end. Right, we're going to go for freedom this time.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
I'm going to the broom cupboard. Seeing as that was a different bit of narration.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Not cost-efficient targets. Get Chris out of the broom. That's where we're going.
Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
I just enjoy touching everything and annoying it. And annoying you, really. But I don't think we can do anything else. I don't know. Oh well. We'll stay in here though for a little bit longer. Does that mean I'm not Stanley anymore? I'm Chris. And I'm in the broom closet. Bit annoyed I didn't find Chris in here. Oh, he's not saying anything at all now. I think if you just spend ages in here, it doesn't do anything. Alright. Should we...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, let's go downstairs.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, It's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Yeah, it's one of the best indie games I think of the last 10 years. It came out about 10 years ago, but it's really clever. To fully understand, you probably have to watch the proper ending and everything, and to understand all the choices I've gone through.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
That narration is changing though, and that's interesting.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
We could go up to the boss's office, but we'll go a slightly different way perhaps.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
The broom closet has been closed off.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
People are beginning to think I won't get a new ending, but believe me, I will. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Extreme bathrooms. Can we? No, I wondered if you could jump on the bathroom at all. On the toilet. Is there an input? Oh, there we go. We need to get 5 of those inputs. I knew at one point it appeared here. Yeah, it's even 5 of them. your cup of tea. No, yeah, it probably wouldn't make sense joining partway through. But yeah, see you later, Barbarian King. Can we stop this at all? No. Presumably that's all it does. Constantly. Alright.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
We're doing the same thing, but this is all new narration.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I wonder if we go down the escape tunnel and then come back, whether it'll change things. Now I'm curious.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
I think there is a point where
No,
you can actually...
he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Yeah, there's a point where you can actually get out of
Here
one of
was the
those
proof.
things.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
But we won't do that because we've done that already. So...
activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Damn, there must be a way to do it. And I noticed on the key, on the end there, it said 4. And then there was and it said 2, 427, it said. But there was no 7 there. But I wonder if you can... that's got me thinking.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So we'll go for one last ending. I'll save the new content for another night.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room,
I'd like the
and
lounge.
Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
It's a bit dark in places, but it is...
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business,
we
Stanley took the first open door on his
I'm
left.
not listening to you. I'm not listening to you. I'm doing
Stanley
what I
was so
wanna do.
bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
And as
Look,
you
Stanley,
noticed,
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
we can actually jump off
I
and
realize that
die.
investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact
just
is that the
restarts the
story
game.
has been about nothing but
We
you
are gonna jump
all
off and
this
get
time.
on
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Okay, it's all very surreal now. Can we... Okay, can we just get a continual... Can I step off? No? Just getting a continual light show. Can I go back?
No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Okay. Kind of two choices really. Oh, no choices really. That's the case maybe. Can we go back to that room? The weird trippy room?
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there, Just stay here.
This is brilliant. Your happy place, yeah. But the decisions, the past and the things. He mentioned
No.
the yellow line.
What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here.
Yeah,
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die! What about this isn't getting through to you?
Should we keep going back and forth? I mean, yeah, that is decisions. I wonder if he's got another comment. We've got to exhaust it, really, haven't we? We've got to play the joke out. We've got to see it through. Got a question. Hang on.
Are you... You are going to stay here, aren't you?
I wondered if I could walk off, but I can't. Okay, we're just going back to the beginning. Let's go back. No commentary this time. So I think we've exhausted this possibility, so there is one thing left that we can do. Goodbye, cruel world.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Begrudgingly.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
No, I don't like it.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
We'll see if he's got any more comments or any more insight. No, right, goodbye, cruel world. The end is never the end. Yeah, you mentioned the yellow line I was saying earlier, and the game with the baby. We haven't got that, and I can't remember how you get that ending.
No. No, what are you doing? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Yeah, my son got that one up, so I don't know what paths he took.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
He's walking slower and slower
Yes.
each time.
Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about. I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you? No, perhaps not. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wondered, do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
Sorry, I cut off a bit in that narration.
I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
Yeah, I'm getting slower and slower each time, which means I'm going to end up as a crawl eventually.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
It's very dark, but it's also very humorous, which I appreciate.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
One more input, one more input. So if we go through one more ending and then get the input up again, then we may be able to unlock another ending. Yeah, we're ignoring new content. So we jumped off and we went.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the
Okay,
door on
we
his left.
could go to the end and go down the escape and then turn back.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Hire someone to synergize papers. Papers are too synergized. Fire paper guy. Hire somebody to fire the paper synergizing guy. Who moved my desk? Please keep the targets on the topic of rub. Yeah, very good. We've got the broom closet, like, completely.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Alright, so 8.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean, he wondered. Desperate for answers, he began turning the room over looking for clues that might unravel the situation, until at last he discovered a keypad behind the boss's desk. But alas, no code. For this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
We've done the not putting in properly.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Okay, we get it. It's 2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
It's quite good the way it remembers what you've previously done, and that has a bearing on what you do next. So presumably the combinations are immense. Really.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I would love to know what the...
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
We'll trigger this second narration, then we'll turn around.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
So yeah, I wonder if there is a code to shut when you activate the mind control facility, whether you can actually deactivate the code, the bomb code.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for. Whoops, nope, never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
Okay, we're going to keep just going up and down, I think, because it's going to probably piss him off. Something wrong. Hang on. Oh no, it is the same. I wondered if this had all changed.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat. Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
Oh, it gets better because I'm going back up.
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he? Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
I love the sarcasm. I am so scared. Don't be scared, it's funny. But yeah, it is dark in places.
Oh my God. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this. Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
It's one of the few games where I'm quite happy when it relinquishes control from you and starts doing things, because it's actually quite funny.
All right. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley. Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
You do know where we're going now, don't you?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No, stuff that. It looks too scary for me.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow?
Oh no.
There
Okay,
we
done it
go.
now.
Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that
I don't
audiences
disagree.
want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh good, we're here.
And yeah, it gets surreal again.
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
Another time that you see him outside, apart from that ending where we saw him for Stanley in third person, and the one where he collapses out of going mad. All eyes on Stanley live on stage. Stanley. World's healthiest human being. All tricks revealed. How we did it. The pyramids. Live. The guy who went to Mars. Brilliant. An evening with world peace, baby. The Stanley Parables.
Yes, here it is, just through this door.
The man, the process, the myth, the legend, the parable. Stanley. From the Stanley Parable tonight live on stage. The Stanley Parable Stanley tonight live on stage. Another picture of him. Stanley. What does it say? All in his mind. No, all in Stanley, all in his new book, The Storyteller. A Q&A with the world's first sentient machine. Oh god, yeah, that's probably quite realistic. Doing great. A conversation with Alexandra the Great.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry. You'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get 'em.
427. Break a leg champ, your boss. Stanley, my true love for you. Years. Story. Stanley, me. David, age 6. Thanks for showing me that cool skateboard trick in the parking lot. You are too cool. Good luck on stage. Rock on. Break a leg champ, your boss. No one tells stories the way you do. Go get 'em, Tiger. Congratulations, Stanley. Remember where you came from. Your what? Your co-workers. So they're not dead. They've not mysteriously vanished. They're all up again, down again. Is that a Stanley Parable book? Yeah, Stanley up again, down again. And what's all the stickers on here? The freedom ending. Yeah, it's I played the demo. 427. 8. Yeah, there you go. Mind Control says in the demo there was a button that you just press is eight, and we were doing that. Right, I suppose we can't mess about. An audience with the dude who came up with pizza. Yep, we're in good company. I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it tonight, because it's like 1:45. We've been streaming for ages and we've done loads. But I'm going to have to talk to my son and find out how we get the the baby game and all the other things. Yeah, and we'll probably play some more Stanley Parable at some point, because there's still a lot more to explore. And this is the Ultra Deluxe version, so there's the extra content as well behind the new content bit. But thanks for watching, thanks for joining me, everyone. And I will see you all when I stream some more Stanley Parable. Good night.